And call the meeting to order. Could I have council please move approval of the agenda? Thank you, Councillor Ronsley and Councillor Ando. Any changes, additions, deletions? Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. Under Finance Committees, sorry, a new committee, so committees number 3. If we could put excuse me, Madam Mayor, Historical Society at the kiosk.
8C Roman numeral 3.
3, thank you.
Historical Society. 3 kiosk. Thank you. Seeing nothing else, I have 2 under 7A and B. 7A, Community Center Renewal Resolution, and 7B, Public Service Announcement. Under 10B, that will be first reading rather than first and second reading. There being nothing further, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If I can move to public participation, and
Oh, shall I just, I'll get the
could I, and let me just read out what I normally read out when I'm getting to, I've been doing it so regularly. And suddenly last council meeting I did not do it, but let me, in the interest of all assembled, and thank you very much to the gallery. Public participation. The Village of Lions Bay Council will begin and complete council meetings with public participation of up to 10 minutes. That's not for each person, that's for the whole public participation period, with each person who wishes to speak allotted a maximum of 2 minutes. Council, at its sole discretion, may extend public participation to include more speakers. Council has introduced a timer for each 2-minute segment. The council member responsible for timing, Councillor Bain, timing speakers during public participation each meeting will provide approximately 30 seconds remaining notice to the speaker. When the timer first begins to sound, please complete your sentence within a few seconds and excuse yourself from the podium. Any questions asked during the 2-minute segment will be captured by the recorder, Ms. Kuntz. A respectful decorum is expected at all village meetings. A person, etc. I don't expect anything improper. So may I just begin with, we have the speaking order here, Mark Hurst. Mark, I see that it's a little bit on an angle there. If you just like, it's on wheels, so if you want to just straighten it out a little bit, that would be lovely. Thank you. Welcome, Mark, and thank you, Councillor Bain.
Hi, good evening, Council. I'm here basically with reference to the filming policy that appears to be maybe getting a proposal to being changed. Now, the issue that I've had, and I think some of the councillors know here, that we've had long discussions to get to this state of having the bylaw, which I think's worked very well, because we've not had any disruption, we've had peace, tranquility. We must emphasise here, there are certain parties in the village that constantly want to film, whether it be for revenue or whatever the means are, I don't know. But what I will say is that I personally feel that peace and tranquility to the residents of Lions Bay, I think, is a very important thing. That's why we come here. So what I would like to put to the council is that we keep the bylaw in place, because I think it's a fair situation, because it involves the whole village, and wherever the point of filming is, it's only the people that are relatively close to that action that get to voice their opinion. 100% approval gets the filming. I mean, we had 2 months of filming at the Mailers. It was outrageous. It was a circus, and I think it's unfair. So, I mean, and everybody down there, I've got plenty of evidence here from Mailers that want to oppose it, and we'll fight it if that's what we've got to do. But I hope we don't have to do this, because I think a lot of effort's gone into the bylaw, and we're all very, very happy with that, and I think the rest of the village would be. It's only a small minority that want to profiteer from filming. Well, there's filming studios, there's Disney World you can go to and do all these functions. So that's just my main point, you know, and we'd like to be kept in the circle before you make any big decisions, because I think the one we've got is perfect.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark, Mr. Hurst. Mr. Sorry again.
regarding the filming committee last night that I participated, and wasting of time. The people that they have done before, after at least past endless discussion, we find out that after it's about 2 years, 2 years that we were back and forth and make this policy in place. In this regard, I believe that we don't need to change it because there is no, except that someone in the, I don't know, maybe from the council or from somewhere else, they want to give the favor to some of the people that they have a house for the filming. Do not forget, we call it residential. This is a residential community. It's not a commercial. And we didn't come over here to participate as a act and not have a peace and tranquility regarding that someone want to get a benefit. And there is no benefit for village, except that maybe they give you about $5,000-6,000, that maybe 0.3, which is about $30 less paying tax, which is for per year, which is not enough for anything. The people that they make the decision, it was they were many, all the voting, and we have it done. Now, I have a question from the all of you, that you paying tax and you paying for the employees in the office. You make the perfect and better places, but do you want to wasting your time and just again and again? Also, I would like to have the minute of the session that anyone propose in the council that for the reviewing the policy. I want to see that, who did it. Please send it to me. I do appreciate it.
Okay, that will have been recorded. Thank you very much, Mr. Azordigan, that request. And what we'll do now is go on to the next speaker. This is how public participation works now. So the time is up, but Ms. Kuntz will have captured that question for you.
I need that minute from the specific session
Thank you.
regarding this matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azordigan. Mr. Ellen Henshaw.
Okay, I noticed down in the minutes here that my question was about the Stratton fire. I noticed you've got something down here, so I'm not completely up to date what you are. But my question is, what contingency plans does the village have if we have a similar situation where there's a major drought and are you going to be able to get water if there's a house somewhere at the top burning? Are you going to be able to get the water they couldn't do because they were too small lines? Now, what plans does the village have to get water up there if it's a big fire?
Up where?
Well, whenever, if you got a fire up on Timbertop, you can't spray it from the ocean then, right? You've got a fire.
Oh, I
What
see.
contingency plans have you got to have enough water to take up there and put the fire out if you've got a drought
In the
situation?
event that that they've gone through the water resources.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Do you have a reserve, or are you thinking of getting some reserve that the fire people could have, or, because if there's a lot of pressure on the water from other people and it's down, how are they going to get the water? Have you got any plans for that?
I'll say, first of all, you've captured the question, and secondly, we are looking at
Yeah,
putting-
sort of down the route there.
yeah,
we're doing that.
putting one or two additional tanks online. So I'll just say, yeah, Councillor Bain?
Your question is something that is concerning us in particular. As the mayor mentioned, we are looking at getting more of the tanks online that have been left dormant for a while. Under under a number of the policies, we do have the possibility of rationing water if we start getting too low for firefighting.
But how, I mean, even how can you, will you have reserves specifically for the firefighters? So I mean, even the ration of water, it doesn't necessarily, you know, you need some kind of reserve that would be specifically for them. That would be my take on it, if you could, you know, is there anyone who can do that?
It's pretty hard to.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm just wondering if you could.
The other point is that we're going through.
Okay,
a hazard risk
thank you
and
very much.
and we'll try to address that one too.
Okay. All right, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. I see we have another speaker.
She recognized you.
I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go right on to Mrs. Zordigan. Farah, you have noted that you'd like to present.
Sure.
It's 2 minutes, and the timer, when the timer goes off, if you can just complete your... Okay, perfect.
So, good evening all. Just, my name is Farah Zordigan. I live in 100 Tidewater Way. I understand today's or tonight's meeting is about possible changes to filming bylaws. And if it's not correct, please tell me what the purpose of this tonight meeting is, or
It's a regular council meeting.
regular
but
council
you-
meetings. Okay, okay. My understanding was tonight was the, I missed, unfortunately I worked late and I missed last night meeting, but my only concern is just the recent, a lady came to our house actually several times in one day, and I was actually on a conference call with another country, so I had to, so I got interrupted 4 times to go downstairs, and by the time I got downstairs, because we live 37 stairs on the top floor, and when I work from home and I'm on the conference call, it took time. So anyway, make the long story short, she was pushing to get the signature on the voting, and I found it a little bit awkward, if you will, that they come to your house with no notice, and when they, you know, ring the doorbell and you cannot make it, they continues, because she saw me from the window, and she tried 4 times. So finally, I went downstairs and I caught her the 4th times, and she was telling me that they're coming to the, I guess the filming duration starts sometimes in the spring, and she also mentioned that they will put, it starts at night in the evening around 6 or 7, and it goes on to 12 a.m. And they will put canvas around our houses, and whenever it's lighting and everything, and that would go on for several months. And that reminding me of the last filming, which we all long time ago, when actually right before we moved in to Lions Bay, and we spoke with a lot of our neighbors about a lot of issues. I think Mark and Marlies and all our next door neighbor had really bad experience. And being having a Convi's health is not that great, so I don't know if you guys know or not, we almost lost him last year. He doesn't have just a heart problem. He went to septic shock and lost all his organ. So he's maintaining those organs as we go. So he needs to rest, and he's on a very, I guess, life-threatening illness, if you will. And we have a 12-year-old, as you know, that we need to raise. So our I guess our comfort and our sleep is extremely important to us. And I work in Cloverdale every day. So I wake up early in the morning, and I get home. This is the earliest I ever get home. So for me, it's also, I need my sleep to go to work and be ready. So to be honest with you, filming would definitely distract our life. And it's not just our life, it's our health. And you know, we have a person goes to school in the morning, so it's a lot of you know, inconvenience to our regular life. Not even we would have the peace and tranquility, but also would impact our normal day-to-day interaction.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's all. So I
Yeah.
just want to make, the only question I have, if I may, I just want to know who made the decision to redo or open the filming bylaws, if you will. I thought we worked very hard on this for the past many, many years. We lived here almost 10 years now, and I thought we were over that, and now the filming wouldn't come, but I guess they're pushing hard to get the filming back in Lions Bay again.
What we'll do, I need to, you weren't here when I read the thing,
Thank
but
you.
yes, thank you
I
very much.
apologize
And
for
we've
being
captured
late.
that question, and we'll make sure
Thanks
that-
for having me in.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Zordigan. Okay, so I'm going to move us along then, seeing no more. John Westcott was going to come or not come as a as a delegation, but his question is in the correspondence, I believe, so that we don't deal with it now.
Actually marked 4A.
Is it 4A? Oh, great. Pardon
And
me?
the delegation.
Oh, it's in there. Okay, thank you very much. So it's actually marked 4A, and,
Page
oh,
3.
perfect. And this is to do with, he wants to provide some sea kayak safety and rescue classes for free at the beach park in advance of the season. It's just something that I would perceive as very exciting for any interested residents, a real value add safety-wise. And I think there that he's looking for the use of the park park picnic table and the beach access pre-season. And so I believe that's, I don't want to misrepresent, but I believe that's the request there. And then the other is the Centennial Trail, and thinking of doing a 3 trail running workshops, 1 on running up hills, 1 running downhill, and the 3rd on putting it all together. So he would want to ask for some volunteers at intersections and need flags for a kind of a race. He's already organized coffee and donations. What I'd suggested to him here, just so that council knows, he did give me a call, and that is that I might suggest with his legal question that it might be a similar process to what we do with the Sea Lion Dip and Dash, as we have a sign-off form, and that was all vetted by MIA, but maybe that could be something that's used there. So having presented this to council, John is a true outdoors person, and he is a regular contributor to a trail app that I don't check, but I hear that he does a trail that I do in about an hour or so, in about 18 minutes. But at any rate, so his request is number 1, regarding the paddling courses that would be at the beach for free to residents on sea kayaking, and just looking to use a table. And Councillor Bain?
This may sound kind of odd, but I'm having great difficulty being part of the conversation because of potential conflict of interest.
Okay.
My siblings own and manufacture kayaks and kayak paddles, and I was reading through the conflict of interest things, and a line here that a reasonably well-informed person would conclude that the interest might influence the exercise of the duty. So I think if I take part in this conversation, it would be inappropriate.
Would you like to just recuse yourself? Thank you very much, Councillor Bain. I appreciate that. We're growing our wisdom through our education, as we all do, I hope, through life. Any other
Madam,
comments?
just as a comment to that, unless he's using his brother's kayaks, I think one can, I think that'd be a real stretch to see whether he's actually in a conflict. But
Okay.
it's his call.
Yeah.
But it's one would be there are thousands of stores that sell kayaks. So
Yeah. Thank you very much.
and I guess he's looking at an abundance of caution. But
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. McGrady. So looking at any comments, including from Mr. McGrady? Yes, Councillor Ando?
Yes, I was going to suggest that we get staff's perspective on this request.
Yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the only concern we would have, if this is something that you want to see the community move forward, is to ensure that there's a liability and waivers and some type of insurance. The first part, seems okay, but if he's going to be stopping and starting traffic and they're going through, I think there is a greater percentage of a problem going through intersections, things like that. Kayaks, depending on the weather. So if we want to support this, then it's going to be through make sure that there's sufficient liability coverage and insurance.
Okay. Councillor
I
McLaughlin?
concur. I think the first paragraph on the offer with the sea kayak is not dissimilar to swim lessons.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of deal. And the second one, Mr. Westcott's a very strong participant with the Trailblazers and knows what he's talking about, but there's a lot of issues up there that need to be hammered out first, I think.
Okay. Okay, any recommendation in terms of just further to what Mr. McGrady has
As
said?
Scott and Councillor Andrew and Mr. McGrady said, I think we should have a staff
Yeah.
recommendation on that.
Yeah, I think so too. Good.
So
Yeah.
through you, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor, I can certainly chat with him. Another option, if this is what, if the community believes that this is something that they want to support, we might be able to even bring them under our liability.
Yeah.
But, you know, if, I guess the question is, do you want this, you know, do you want to see this move forward? If it is, we'll try to find a way that protects the village.
If I can make a suggestion, and it might be a date suggestion, that the last 2 years, Lions Bay has supported the National Fitness Day, which is June 1st, or the nearest Saturday to June
It's the
1st.
John Weston Day.
It is, it's the John Weston Day. But it is a National Fitness Day, and last year we did do, in fact, a run through the trails. And we had, I don't know, somewhere, I thought there was going to be 15 people there. There must have been 75 people there. Right from closely born to, right up the age ladder. It was phenomenal. So people ran, walked, packed their kid, etc. So I think that if looking at the energy and bringing him in, because he's a fine volunteer, but he wouldn't know what the volunteer umbrella is to come under, and I think that that's the kind of thing that information he's seeking right now. Yes, Councillor?
I think this may be an
Ronsley.
opportunity for Lions Bay, and for one of the questions I had is he including youngsters in his thinking, or is it just adults? I would really like to know more. And kayaking is fun, I mean, for everybody. And I speak from experience, and so I would like to know more, and I'd like to, but my concerns are exactly as expressed around the table.
If I can say that we have somebody who began their kayaking here and became a 5-time Olympian, Margaret Langford, up on the wall there, and her picture isn't there, but she began at 15 on our very beach. And so, to your point, Councillor Ronsley, we certainly want lessons so people can be safe and secure and know what they're doing when they're out there, but also become inspired.
We have a resident in the village, a long-time resident who is just retired but very busy with kayaking, president of the kayaking club. So there's a lot of possibilities here, and I just would like to know more, and maybe it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. He is a kayaking teacher who teaches out of Deep Cove as well as I think Bowen Island.
So-
But could I leave that in your capable hands with that backgrounder?
Madam Mayor,
That-
just refer it to staff and then.
Sure.
Okay,
And then
Thank
thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much. Okay, could I move us along then to adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 18th? And could I have council? Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
We almost
felt that
forgot
was
you.
an abundance of caution. Could I have council move and second, please? Councillor Ando and a seconder, Councillor McLaughlin. And are there any changes, additions, deletions that you have found to the minutes? I see none. I'm going to call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously.
Excuse me.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I think it's the first time since I've been here, there hasn't been
Yeah,
an addition, so thank you very much, Mandy.
yeah, thank you. I would add to that as well. Thank you very much for noting that, and the thank you to Ms. Coons. If I can take us to business arising, snow removal on private property, and here I will recuse myself real quickly. And
Because,
should I?
because.
I'm sorry. Because I am a part, or I'm a part owner of the Lions Bay General Store and Cafe. and the property that that sits on, not the rest of the property, but the footprint that that sits on. Is that
Okay, your deputy mayor?
okay?
Am I still there?
Or who's deputy mayor?
December, January, February. You are. You want to be mayor?
It's March, isn't it?
I'll
It
take,
is,
if you're not up to it.
Okay.
I mean, he's not very well.
Okay, so, thank you. Andy, where was the crib notes? Okay, so we're on to the snow removal on private property.
Mr. Mayor, this is just further information that was brought forward that we were able to find in our files, and this is also just another piece of information that clearly identifies that the involvement of the municipality in cleaning snow clearing. So all it needs to be is received. It was dealt with before. This is just further information we thought we'd bring forward.
Thank you very
It
much.
just needs to be received.
Mr. McGratty, I have a motion to receive this. Thank you, Mr. Green. Seconder, Councillor Endo. Call any questions? No? All in favor? Done. Thank you.
Can't get any better.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you. Never get the good stuff.
Thank you very much, Councillor McLaughlin. And if we could move along then to 7A, the Community Center Renewal Resolution that is before you, and I'll read it out for all to hear. That Council authorized the CAO to engage Jerry Longson and a structural engineer to develop the scope of work and tender package for the replacement of the existing roof membrane and existing cedar mansard roof for the community center and village office, and to obtain at least 3 competitive bids and to report back with a recommendation at the earliest opportunity. Could I please have a mover and seconder for that motion? Councillor Ronsley and Councillor McLaughlin. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If I can go to 7B, and if I can hand this out. And I'll just read again for the public, and this will go out in a, it should be 139. Is that okay if I just, yeah. You'll see me read something slightly different. But if one of the numbers I'll read, and you'll see that I'm reading a slightly different number for you. Council is pleased to announce today that Council has determined to move forward with the upgrading and renovation of our Community Hall, Library and Village Office. Since the November 5th, 2013 Council resolution, staff have been working with Jerry Longson and Associates to create a project scope ladder, which Council believes includes the necessary renovations that will improve the safety, usage, and accessibility of our Community Hall, Library, and Village Office within a fiscally prudent budget. The project scope ladder identifies both what Council believes are the must-do upgrades and the nice-to-have renovations. If both the remaining $139,000 federal CIIF funding and $443,000 provincial CRP grants are able to be utilized, the total of the project works are estimated to cost $950,000. The upgrades and the extent of the renovations will depend on the actual grant funding the village is approved for. We want to thank both our MP, John Weston, and our MLA, Jordan Sturdy, for their continued support and continued involvement in assisting the village in obtaining the full amounts of the grants. The village will begin immediately to replace the roofs and then move to improving the seismic integrity of both the community center and municipal buildings. Included in the $950,000, and additional to the roof replacement will be a seismic upgrade to the south, west, and north walls of the community center, as well as the reinforcement of the east wall of both buildings. There will be the installation of a handicap washroom, improvements to the existing washrooms, improvements to the community kitchen, improvements to the HVAC. The existing shed south of the community center will be removed and the existing oil tank relocated and new pavers installed and landscaping work undertaken. Additional room will be provided within the community center through the purchase of 2 Britco trailers to house the village's archives. The work to the village office will necessitate the moving of the village staff and council chamber for a short period, and plans are being crafted to move the village office temporarily to the Clap building. We all know that the community center is the heart of our community, and we understand that our investment will add another 25 plus years to the life expectancy of these buildings, provided, of course, we ensure we maintain these assets on an annual basis. We also want to thank you, our residents, for being so patient. We are pleased to be moving forward, and we look to our community coming together and are hopeful that we can reopen our newly renovated community center, library, and village hall in early summer of this year. Thank you. If I can then move forward to reports and ask council to move receipt of the reports. Thank you, Councillor Bain, and seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. All those in favor of receipt of the reports? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If we can go to the interim CAO's report on page 17 and have any overview and questions.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I'll just quickly go through this, and I'll just highlight is that we have now advertised and it's been posted for a village bylaw officer. Interestingly, we discovered that there was not a job description for the bylaw officer that existed. I don't know why. So we have now advertised, and we're moving forward to hire this person. I think there was some questions about the provision of bylaw enforcement. I wasn't looking at you, I was looking at somebody from our... Right.
I'll let you know.
Right, okay. The budget has coverage for Friday, Saturday, and Sundays from 5:30 to 10:30 p.m., and the assignment will run from May to October. During the regular work week, the manager of Public Works will act as the village bylaw officer. When the Public Works manager is not available, either the building inspector or the volunteer fire chief will be called upon in the event of a bylaw emergency. On weekends outside of the bylaw schedule, 2 volunteer firefighters will be called upon. Each person acting as the bylaw officer will be required to take and pass the required online course. In addition, I, or my delegate, will be required to take the appropriate training in order to act as the village's bylaw screening officer. So we are moving forward with that. We've got a couple of applications in, I believe, and we'll be vetting those next week. So I think that's been a long time coming, and I know that the community's been talking about this for a long time. So we hope to have essentially full-time coverage.
Okay, if I could just make a brief comment and then go to Councillor Ando. This is great, good work. You can see my note as I'm scribbling along. Thank you very much. Councillor Ando?
So the bylaw officer mainly deals, as most of us know, mainly with parking. So I'm wondering, a component of that would be towing. Do we have a towing company that the village has a relationship with currently? Are you aware?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we do. And we will become diligent in that at the appropriate times. For example, if there is a vehicle parked in front of a hydrant or blocking a person's driveway, and we will be looking at other times. But at this point in time, those are the main issues that we'll be dealing with.
Thank you.
After hours.
We'll chat later.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
Okay, the next part though is there has been discussions about how we communicate, and so one of the things I'm going to be asking council for is a committee of the whole meeting sometime in April to talk at a committee level about how we communicate, how can we better communicate with our residents, and really what's the return on investment. Because we can, continue to do all types of things, but there's a finite budget. As you know, there's an election this year. There is a movement to a 4-year term. I don't believe it's actually legislated yet, but it's coming. And so we are moving forward to prepare for the 2014 election. And I've had some discussions about maybe doing some articles or some workshops and things like that as well. The other part is, the snow removal that we had, and there's some questions about how much time did we actually spend out there, and I think that shows, that we were out there at, different times of the day and night. I won't go into the green waste collection, but I know that this has been an issue that's sort of been sitting there for quite a while, and now we're moving with this, with the, and I'm very pleased that the fire department is going to be working with us on this. So we are dealing with not only the green waste, but also the rock slide that was on Harvey Creek Road. So we're moving on that.
Okay, yes,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, yes, continue. Councillor Bain?
Just a question on the green waste issue is there a policy, or can we have a policy of prohibition of dumping green waste in the forest? I see it as a real hazard.
Are you
Yeah, we
asking?
can look at it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Could I
I'm
just
just gonna read-
clarify, I could see, I could hear this question mark coming. That you're referring to the village depositing green waste.
Inclusive of the
Yeah,
village, but
inclusive.
also anybody.
Anybody, yes,
Anytime you
agreed.
get these big piles of green waste in the summertime, I see it as a hazard to our forest.
Right. Well, this big pile has been accumulated, I understand, through, pitching weeks and stuff like that for the last while. There are two other things, Madam
Yes.
Mayor. I'll look at that. The other thing is the blue bin has been moved.
Yeah.
And today, this is what happened. And somebody, somebody dumped, and including needles.
Oh, wow.
So, somebody in this community.
What are they?
Needles.
Needles. So it's unfortunate that somebody, either from this community or somebody who's chosen to come to this community to dump this, but, so we'll, speak to that. So it's very unfortunate that somebody has been so disrespectful, and it truly is a health hazard to see, those needles. One final item, and it's regarding an issue that has been talked about for a while, and I'm just going to read this, is that I've had a discussion with the solicitor. Councillor McLaughlin has received communications from members of the public to the effect that he has or has had an apparent conflict of interest in relation to council's deliberations respecting the village contract with Millennia Architecture Corporation. The village has sought legal advice on the matter from Don Lidstone QC, a senior municipal solicitor. Concern raised is based on the fact that Councillor McLaughlin's spouse, as an independent contractor, provides bookkeeping services to Millennia for approximately 2 hours per week on average. She is not an employee, does not sign invoices, has no equity or other financial interest in Millennia other than her 2 hours per week bookkeeping contract. The contract with the village has not altered or would not alter her financial or other relationship with Millennia, and the contract itself would not alter her financial circumstances. The lawyer concluded that in his opinion, based on recent case law and the community charter, 1, Councillor McLaughlin has no pecuniary interest in the contract and accordingly would not be subject to a process of being disqualified from office, and 2, there is no common law interest in the matter which would have had the effect of discounting his vote in the event of a split vote, but none of the council votes on the matter were split.
Okay, thank you very much. That's most helpful. Is there anything further?
No, Madam Mayor, just
Any questions on the council report on the, okay, I'm going to move us along then. I'm sorry, Councillor Ando?
I have a question with regards to the green waste.
Yes.
So there were some different options with some costing, and then at the very end it says on February 26th you authorized the hiring of an excavator. So I'm not understanding what we are actually doing with the green waste that's being stored.
Okay. What has happened is that because of the rock slide, there is an almost immediate urgency to clean that up because it's essentially unsafe for our workers to be up there. What we were hoping to do is use the excavator the same when we're dealing with the green waste to clear up the rock slide. So we originally were looking just at the green waste and dealing with the green waste. And that's when we had a number of different options that I talked about here. What we're hoping to do is bring in the excavator, and then at the same time, when we're dealing with the green waste, also deal with the rock slide. Because of the urgency, what I've said is that move forward and clean up the rock slide by itself. And we'll deal with and we're now dealing with the green waste.
So,
At the same time, just to clear.
No, we're moving
Okay,
on
separate,
the
okay.
rock by itself.
Okay, Councillor Ando?
so do you have an approximate value on the cost of bringing in the excavator, or is it above or below our purchasing policy?
Below.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if I can just ask a question regarding the BC Hydro report, having read it completely, and then discovered a grant application. And having recently been to the Brunswick area, and I haven't been to the KG area or the other areas, but looking at where the central berm could use more plants, there's plants that have died at Brunswick. But when we applied for and received this grant 2 years ago, they were very good in allowing us to apply for shrub-like things rather than trees. The key thing is that, and this might not apply actually, but it might, is that there are telephone wires above it or hydro wires above it, wherever the planting is scheduled to occur. But it's worthy of us looking at because they do it in cooperation with a tree group that works with them, I think, works with many provinces nationally. But it's for beautification, and I thought, gosh. So if I think I'm going to pull it from my binder, if with permission of council, and maybe have a chat or give it to another council member while I'm away if they want to have a chat, but with the garden group, if that's okay. Okay, does that sound good? So it was just a little grant opportunity caught my eye there. So if we can go on then to the mayor's report. Thank you. I'll just move myself along here. I don't know that I have much to report. I'll just check in with maybe what I'll do is add to this report, as I've mentioned, I think earlier, that I did talk with our Member of Parliament earlier on today, so on March the 4th, and I just add that to my to the top list on my report there. And we discussed the small community grant, and I'm pleased to announce that the small community grant has been confirmed in the 2014 provincial budget, that in 2015, 2016, 2017, Lions Bay will receive the amount that's been promised, which is $298,000 in each of those 3 years. And that's about a 50% increase over the current small community grant receiving, and also confirming not the end of that grant, but the continuation. I'd like to comment on the Howe Sound Community Forum webinar that I attended, and with the provincial government from the Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resources. We have been lobbying Lions Bay with our collective partners around the Sound, including Whistler and Gibsons and Islands Trust, West Vancouver, Squamish, and the First Nations, to ask for some planning process for Howe Sound. We have garnered our MP, John Wesson, and our MLA, Jordan Sturdy's support in that, and garnered the support of Minister Stephen Thompson, who is the Minister in charge of Forest Lands and Natural Resources. And amidst a real concern on everybody's parts about the cost of planning and who pays for what, the province has come to the table, not with a commitment, but with an idea, that they are willing to pursue, and that's the cumulative effects assessment framework, which they use in large territories throughout the province of British Columbia successfully. And they're willing to modify it for what they consider a smaller region, which is Howe Sound. And I think that it's very promising and deals with all of the social, environmental, economic, it really deals with it all without having the framework in front of me. But it was a very good webinar, so I want to report out on that. And I think that that's a real positive moving forward, and that's good news. And then Mr. McGrady and myself met with BC Rail today, and we'll just continue those discussions at this time. So that's the end of my report. And any questions? If not, none, go on to Councillor Ando. I'll just do alphabetical order. Councillor Bain, Councillor McLaughlin, and then Councillor Ronsley.
Just reporting out that the infrastructure committee meeting that was tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March the 12th, I believe, is going to be rescheduled. And we'll post the date on the website as soon as we're able to confirm with the members.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Councillor Bain?
Big thing on my agenda is, again, the hazard, risk, and vulnerability assessment. And I'm happy to say I've been working with staff with great cooperation, I might add. And we've come to the conclusion that to move it along, it would be helpful to assemble a working group, not a committee, but just sort of a working group where we can get some subject matter experts in here that are, well, not particularly, but from the emergency services and a few other odds and ends, and put our heads together and just sort of plan a way forward on it. Hopefully that meeting would take place about mid-March. And if we can have this thing wrapped up by the end of May, that would be great.
That's fantastic. Who is our person? Is it still Michael? I'm just trying to reach for the name. Who is with Emergency Management BC? Who is our regions?
Oh, usually I deal with Andrew Morrison.
Oh, Andrew Morrison. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. Andrew Morrison. And so I don't know whether he could particularly help in shaping that task force. And yeah, thank you so much. Okay. Councillor McLaughlin?
Thank you. Just reporting out by way of the village finances, my quarterly operation finances report, which will go into the community news just by virtue of the calendar when council won't be here. That's with the interim CAO for his vetting before it circles to council and then goes to the editor.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Councillor Ronsley?
A few things. The first meeting of the filming policy review select committee happened last night. It was a fulsome meeting. It was a learning experience for everybody and a discussion, an open discussion. There will be, the next meeting will be April 28th. Once again, a public meeting, and did I say that correctly?
28.
28th?
Last time you said 18.
No.
I'll check that.
If
I
we need
believe
to
it's
correct
gonna-
if it isn't.
it is a public meeting. It will be on the website and the agenda and all that. Okay, sorry if I'm not. I'll check it. I like to be accurate. All right.
Oh, the 18th is a Friday night, and the 28th is?
Is a Monday.
Monday. Yes,
Monday.
it's a Monday, the 28th. And it was a good opportunity for everybody, those in the gallery, and for the committee itself. So that's what's new in that regard. Carrying on with other things is the invasive species. The council, which I attend regularly, we are about to have our third AGM. It's an organization that's really taken hold. We cooperate with Metro, but this happens in the SLRD area because we're more like them in our invasive species problem than we are like with Metro. In any case, they find, or we find, that it's caught on to a point where the demands are more and more, and it's the old story. As soon as you get very successful, then
What's the
the money.
benefit of that?
Pardon me?
What's the
Excuse me,
benefit of
I'm
this
just gonna
meeting?
call us,
We have a
excuse me,
bylaw.
Mr. Azurdugan,
Yes,
I'm just
ma'am.
gonna call us to order, okay?
I appreciate
Because
it.
this is the council portion of the meeting, so council will discuss, no.
I'm
excuse-
leaving, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Just I want to congratulate
Thanks,
everybody because of him that he's with the
That's
village.
now.
But
Yeah.
we spend time and money
Excuse me.
and we have a bylaw. We don't need
Mr.
that meeting
Azurdugan.
Okay.
anymore.
Mr.
Okay,
Zordigan.
thank you so much.
That's it.
Thank you
That's
very
so
much.
Thank you very
And
much.
by the way,
Okay,
Good night.
yeah.
I have old enough to say that
Excuse
over my dead body if you change,
night.
if you
Yeah.
could.
Excuse
No,
me,
no.
we,
Good night.
I'm gonna touch wood.
Grant, don't say that.
Okay.
Going on with the invasive species, I would like to say that we're getting on top of some of the major invasive species that are in our village, as well as in the municipal areas that we butt up to.
You are
So it's a
giving a
rather
favor to
exciting and
someone.
interesting,
In the name of
well-attended group.
Thank you, baby.
I should add that, well, I think I'll just leave it there, unless there's a question on my report, which I'm happy to answer.
Well, I just have a
Okay.
report, I
I-
think.
No,
I'm sorry,
no.
I'm sorry, me.
Oh, the
No, I'm sorry, I'm afraid this is,
Councillor Ronsley should
you
be
can do
looking
that
at
at
her
the
colleagues
end.
at this point.
Sure,
Sure.
thank
Thank
you.
you very much. We do have public participation at the end. And sorry to call everybody to order, but it just is, it's gonna work well for the public participation at the end. If I can just go on then and say, is there any questions or queries about the Lions Bay Fire Department? Okay, there being none, I'm going to move us along then to resolutions. And that's the resolution to cancel the March 18th, 2014 regular council meeting. I'm sorry? Back up a page. Oh, Historical Society, I'm sorry.
If I can deal with the first two.
Thank you very much.
The item 2 and item 3, Madam Mayor. On the Finance Committee side, just quickly on the Kelvin Grove Beach Washroom,
Yes,
the Kelvin Grove Sewer Treatment Plant, the Central Beach Drainage Field Remediation, and the Central Beach Washroom rejuvenations, a lot of beaches, rejuvenations and
Yeah.
remediations and all that. Anyhow, the relevant topics due to the capital expenditure budgets that are contemplated to be in place this year. There's a quick recap on the expenditures for the gallery and for the readership of the council minutes. The Kelvin Grove Beach Washroom has had a $10,000 budget approved last year. The Public Arts team, which is part of the Arts Council, provided council with scope and design for the remediation or rejuvenation last September. In 2014, the budget's been increased by another $5,000, and no work has been done yet. The Kelvin Grove Sewer Treatment Plant, smell remediation, has an anticipated budget of $10,000. This is a consistent issue in the area. It needs to be definitively solved. And the desire would, I'm sure all of us would like it done sooner rather than later, but for sure by the summer. The Central Beach drainage field has been dead for many years, with the facility maintained due to continual pump outs of the holding tank. It's considered that costs to remediate the drainage field will be recovered shortly over a small number of years. Lastly, the Central Beach washrooms are in need of renewal, and a budget is being put in place for this for 2014 as well. It is again proposed that the Public Art team again be asked to become involved to provide a scope and design for council to consider and approve in due course. My purpose in bringing up the 4 topics is to confirm council's desire to ask administrative staff to commence the projects now and not wait until conclusion of the 5-year plan. Specifically that the first meeting of April, administrative staff would be in a position to advise of steps taken to date that would see the project start or be in motion by the end of April. Specific to the Central Beach washroom, the assignment to be offered the Public Art team is a modest rebuild, redo, or renovation that contemplates their artistic merit on a modest level with 1 floor.
can I just say that what we would need to have, what council would need to have, is the design, or I don't know, you know, the elements that are going to go into it. And so hopefully the washrooms can be similar in their nature. I don't mean in terms of shape or anything like, but just in terms of the elements, because then we'll get good in with our public works at cleaning those elements, taking care of those elements that are there, and they'll be consistent.
My sense, Madam Mayor, is a brief conversation with them to, not to waste their time, but to ask them to put their efforts to a very concentrated and modest amount to maybe come forward with a potential design that would fit, so that we can then confirm they're on the right track and then let them go. And then ultimately the aim here is to hand this all to administration.
Okay. Any input from council? Thank you, Councillor Bain.
I would like to see the project move ahead rather quickly, because we're going to be going into the high use area, and it would be nice to have it all finished before summer so people can enjoy it.
I thought admin's got a lot on their plate right now, and I can't speak for them, so I was thinking a month to, and I'm not sure where the dates in the calendar are for the next meeting, but if they're, from my own perspective, the Kelvin Grove washroom, if there hasn't been a hazmat study for the roof, that would be an easy one to obtain. Once that's obtained, then that assures that our works department won't be involved in the project. So then it would go to tender based on the scope and design we already have in place. The sewage treatment plant, I think that's for administration to deal with the technical professionals. The drainage field for Central, that's tender process out. And I think we just talked about the Central Beach washrooms.
Okay. If I might make a suggestion in support of this, but in support of whatever other decisions we're able to make, capacitated to make at that time, and this may not be a practical, but if it is a practical suggestion, that if there's any way that there is a harmonizing with the washrooms here, if there's, for example, towel work, just, you know, move along the process in an economy of time and folks, and anyway, it just may be something that harmonizes in terms of all the replacements, or the fixture replacements, without getting into what the fixtures
for
are.
my part, with council's blessing, as I'm the liaison with the Arts Council, I don't mind having the talk with them. And in that we have the burden hand on the Kelvin Grove, if whatever, it escapes me now exactly what we're doing.
I don't think they have to be glued together, but
No,
if it worked for them.
There may be some synergy in the two projects together.
That's what I'm.
Don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But, and again, I do not propose to stomp on staff's toes on this one.
Yes.
It's just to push our volunteers to coming up with the scope and design so we can hand it off to staff.
Right. What I hear you first and foremost is wanting support for you to communicate to the volunteers that they can develop and bring forward a design that would include suggested materials. Getting pretty specific. I don't know what your thoughts are here, Mr. McGrath. I see a thought that I'd ask you to deliver to the table.
Madam Mayor, fully recognize, you know, we need to get these in place before the summertime, and we'll move as quickly as we can.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And as much as it can be coordinated, and if there's value add, not only with the work done from a cost-effective perspective, but from a design perspective, having a kind of a village, some kind of a village footprint there. So, and then all of those being similar to maintain.
Madam Mayor, I think we all have to recognize is that, you know, these are in very tight budgets.
Yes, exactly.
You know, after doing the
That's
Ambleside
what I'm
washrooms,
thinking.
you know, washrooms can be very expensive if you
Yes.
want. So, you know, recognize these are tight budgets, and we will do this, you know,
Yeah.
as much as we can with what we can.
Yeah, and that's what I'm recognizing too. I'm concerned, this is why I say maybe a selection of materials, because we want something that is affordable and desirable, cleanable, and resilient for a recreational space. So resilience is important too. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor McLaughlin. Councillor Ando?
With the amount that was budgeted this afternoon, I believe that the Central Beach drainage field remediation should be the priority first. I think that we have to take care of that problem as soon as possible. And then you'll know how much residual is left over to do the Central Beach washroom rejuvenation. But the septic field must be dealt with, and because the returns on it are
Infinite.
well, yeah, they're going to come back in a short period of time, and I think the numbers are so varied that once that goes out for tender and you have a better idea, then you can start planning or know how much money you'll have left over for the washrooms rejuvenation themselves. That's
What
my
are we
opinion.
spending currently on the field?
There's a wide range over the last month, but the current high number is 50.
Oh, wow, okay. Oh, no, I mean, when the reference is
Oh,
that
the-
it's costing
And the
us.
pump outs,
Yeah,
8 seems to be a number that comes to mind.
okay, thank you. If we could have knowledge of that, I think that would be helpful for us. Okay?
But any number
Yeah.
is not a good number.
No, I
for a field that
understand
should
that.
be
I mean, if
working.
it's $2,000, anyway, no, I understand that the field should be working. But looking at the problem that it presents. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If we can move
And
along
next
to
would
the
be the
Historical
Historical
Society.
Society.
I
Thank
see
you.
my little writing here. Thank you for stopping me.
Generously, the Historical Society has, again, a liaison for this. And they have, a community member has approached them, it's Norma Rogers, and offered to do re-photograph, rework in conjunction with the Historical Society for the displays at the kiosk. And so she has relevant artwork, which she's suggesting sunset owls, raccoons, fungus. And she's offered to mount them for us and do it in such a way that the pictures don't curl. And I have little doubt there'll be artistic merit to this. So I'm asking for council's confirmation of this and to allow administration to have our volunteer team have access to the kiosk. And if that would be fine, then I'll pass that on to them.
Okay, it certainly is in great need of a new adventure.
Rejuvenation's a good word for
Rejuvenation.
2014.
And if we can think of it as, it's not a rebuild of the kiosk, it is
Yes.
a rejuvenation of its artistic presentation. Would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of council concur with that, so I'll just put people in email
Yeah.
loop.
What I see though, going around the table, is a little bit of a question mark on Councillor Bain's face, and that's where a picture
Would help.
or a design says 1,000 words.
Yeah.
And it really does help. So maybe what I can ask you to do, as by way of follow-up to this meeting,
shall.
is just circulate. I haven't seen the photos either, but I've read we each got it, I think, with the intention that there was going to be an attachment.
Yep.
And
You got what I got. I'll link council electronically over the next week with this.
That's great.
And we'll do something there. When that is done, this topic may not come up other than the electronic thing. Mayor Broughton, if I can ask you to write a card to Norma Rogers on our behalf, thanking her for her involvement.
This is following?
Following?
Yeah, I
Thank you.
definitely will. Yeah, and if you could just nudge me, I'm going to
Yep,
be
I know.
scooting
Working-
shortly. I know
Working for
both.
us from afar, I know.
Yeah, so, thank
you.
you very much. Okay, if I can move us along, then we've looked at the emergency services report. If I can move us on to the resolution to cancel the March 18th, 2014 regular council meeting. Could I have a council member move and second? Thank you, Councillor Bain. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor McLaughlin. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If I can move us along then to number 10, bylaws. 10A is repeal of prior fees and charges bylaw 465. Could I have council move first reading, please? Thank you, Councillor Ando, and a seconder. Councillor Ronsley. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. For the gallery, the lack of discussion shouldn't be worrisome. This has been thoroughly discussed and it's coming before us today as a repeal of the former one. So if I can have second reading of the repeal of prior fees and charges bylaw 465. Pardon me, I'm not moving. Could I have a mover and seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Bain and Councillor Ronsley. Any discussion on second reading? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can go for third reading on the repeal of prior fees and charges bylaw 465. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Bain and Councillor Ando. Any discussion? There's no changes. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If I can go to 10B, Animal Control and Licensing Bylaw 461, first reading. Could I have somebody move and second, please? Thank you, Councillor Bain and Councillor Ronsley. Is there any discussion here?
Madam Mayor,
Thank you very much.
Only one item, and again, I want to thank Mandy for moving this forward. This has been discussed
Very impressive.
recently. The only part that is still needs to be looked at is arranging where the pound facility is going to be, and discussions are taking place whether it's we can use West Vans or Squamishes or
Okay. Thank you
Councillor
very
Ronsley's garage. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And this has come out of an outcropping of a resident dog interaction that occurred recently. So any discussion? Then it was led to a review of the bylaw and what we have. Yes, Councillor Ando?
So are there a lot of changes between our old document and the new document?
Thank you.
Most of the changes are noted in that covering memo. The biggest changes were dealing with aggressive animals and the bylaw enforcement officer's ability to address or seize those animals. Those were the biggest. Our existing policy or bylaw, I guess, didn't deal with aggressive animals at all.
No, it didn't. So, okay.
Go ahead.
Councillor Ando?
Did you run it through legal or has...
Yes, actually, it was Tanith who dealt with this. It was finalized when I got here and had already been reviewed by legal. And what it was waiting for was passing of the fees and charges bylaw, which we passed on February 18th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Bain?
If I could just mention, the bylaw review committee had also vetted this prior to going off to legal as well. I think that was one of the central themes of the
great.
committee.
Thank you. Good. I'm going to call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can move along to correspondence on page 83. And if I could have council move receipt of correspondence. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you. Councillor Bain and Councillor Ando. All those in favor of receipt? Moved unanimously. Sorry, I'm waiting through here. If I can say that we'll deal with the number 2 of the external correspondence under 12C. Is there anything other than that in the external correspondence that council might wish to address? Okay, if we can go to the internal correspondence, and just by way of discussion, we have already dealt with number 1. Is there anything further? The 4 other ones happen to be on the topic of the garbage bin, and we saw the earlier photograph of the situation. Perhaps what we can do with those 4 communiques is to ask Mr. McGradu to just communicate back that the garbage bin has been moved now, and we are continuing with, to look at, I don't know, I'll leave it in your capable hand. Is that fine? Yeah. Is that fine for council? Is there anything that council wishes to highlight in those 5 communiques? Okay, thank you. If I can, then take us to new business. Strachan Point Fire Response. I think apparently I put this on here. Did somebody else put it on? Okay. Mr. McGratty thinks I did. I may have to say, I'm meeting with the Electoral Area A Committee tomorrow, and I think that my thinking must have been to confirm what the message going forward would be, to take to the Electoral Area A and to confirm with council that the message that I am taking forward would, now I don't know if we've written to Strachan yet, so I will take it in an informal way with council's blessing that, well, we haven't prepared a letter on this yet, but that we will not be responding to the fire response. I'll narrow my discussion to the fire response at this point. Okay, so that's what that was doing there. And then conflict of interest. Yes, Councillor Ando.
So I'd like to thank Mr. McGratty for providing the information. It was very informative. My question would be, are we going to be starting to move to a more, to follow the procedures that are outlined in the community charter when relating to the conflict of interest?
I'll ask Mr. McGratty to respond to that, but perhaps as mayor I could respond first. Does that make sense to the table? I think that it has always been the intent to be bang on with the conflict of interest. And what we're doing is becoming much more educated about what the community charter really says about what we need to say. For example, earlier I added a whole bunch of information that I didn't realize that I needed to say. So I think that we're getting, we're going to get much better at this. But I want to comment on our intent has always been to be very clear about potential conflicts of interest. Mr. McGratty, do you want to, does that sound, I don't think that we are needing to overstate that, but I see this council as one that has the interests of the community first and foremost in their mind. That's what I would say. Councillor Bain?
Well, if I can just make one comment from my perspective, in that in reading as a new councillor reading the community charter, you can pick up so much of it and a certain percentage of the intent on that. And as you try to work through the system, you realize that you didn't quite understand it as well as you wish you had it the first time. And as the years go by, I feel a little more comfortable with it, and I can recognize issues that could pop up. So I think as we move along, we'll probably get better and better at it. And I agree. I think the piece that Mr. McGratty supplied for us from Young Anderson is just an excellent piece and adds clarity. It's a much better read than the community charter too, if I could add.
It's true. Maybe I could go to Mr. McGratty as well.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I suspect it's timely. I think it's a difficult situation, and I just jump to the back, which is the conclusion. And it says, given the breadth of elected officials and employees' duties to their local government, it is perhaps not surprising that the phrase conflict of interest carries some confusion. And there's case law, there's civil and civil actions that can take place. Each year there's what's called an elected officials boot camp, or whatever it's called, put on by the UBCM or LGMA. And in it, they try to explain what conflict of interest is in all the different items that are dealing with being an elected official. The challenge is that in a small community, you're involved in almost everything. And so it is probably more difficult, and so hopefully there's the intent that it's, everybody's here doing the right things. there's obviously the reason why conflict of interest legislation came in is that some people have abused it. And so, if anything, I encourage, an annual review with the LGMA or the UBCM to go to the, these newly elected or annually elected council workshops so that you can hear it. But, I just mentioned, so the short answer is yes, we are going to be more diligent in watching these things, and so should everybody.
I agree.
But it is confusing at times. So I guess what I've always said to staff and what I've said to council is if it doesn't feel good, then it probably isn't.
Yeah, that's a good, I think, rule of thumb. Thank you. Any other comments or?
Or one other thing.
Yeah.
If you don't want to read it about in the front page of the Vancouver Sun tomorrow, don't do it.
Yeah. Okay, good rule of thumb. Anything further? Okay, can I move on then to the next item, which is the Lieutenant Governor letter, and this is on page 131. And I've put it on under new business because I read it. I was just so delighted. We have such a musical community of young people and middle people and old people, and I'd be surprised if somebody didn't do something here. But what it is, I got it here, right? Page 131. That's just the letter. Oh, sorry, I'm sure it's here. Yeah, it is here. Here we go. It's my own stuff is cluttering it. What it is it's Canada's 150th birthday in 2017. And this is an opportunity for us to invite our community to participate in possibly composing a song. And each entry will be reviewed by a panel of musicians from around the province, and an award of $1,000 will be granted annually to each of 3 age categories. I think that our musicians need an opportunity to either be interested or not interested. And so, like with many of our e-posts, does council see it as a community item? And I just do see this as a community item, to have the package go out in an e-post with a little intro about it. And are you a musician? Have you composed music? Perhaps you've never. But this may interest you, and giving them the opportunity to open the attachment envelope and maybe get excited about something.
I was wondering if we could share this with Lions Bay School. They have 2 different age groups there, and it is it's for groups as well as individuals.
Oh, yeah, you can
so
be a
I'd
group.
like them to know about it too, perhaps Lynn Eagles, where our students are.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. But I wonder if it could go into an e-post, and I believe the school is part of our e-post, but it could be specifically sent to the school as well for distribution there.
I'd be surprised if the vice principal doesn't know about it, but I would hate to think
It's one of those things, you receive the letter, you see the little print, and you either decide to really read it or not. It's one of those things that either catches your attention or not. And so I think if we could, is it fine if we do that and maybe put a little intro to it about something like that? Okay. Is there any further discussion or comment? I'll move us along if not. The Infrastructure Committee Lions Bay Community News article.
That's it. This was sent by e-post.
Yeah.
Do you need one? A couple more.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So this document was prepared by the Infrastructure Committee, and they would like to publish it in the Lions Bay Community News. It's been going around, and various people on the committee have had input. Public Works has had input. And we hope to be able to, or they hope to be able to submitted tomorrow, if possible, into the community news, and I'm hoping that you'll support their desire to post it.
Madam Chair, the only,
Yeah.
and I haven't read this,
Yeah.
but I'm just going through the techno, and that's
Yeah.
really the survey. I don't know if any of you have ever, I've been involved in a lot of surveys, and there's a great Monty Python YouTube video that you can get any type of answer you want depending on the question you want to write it. So to prepare, whether it's SurveyMonkey or anything else, it's important that the questions are written well, and so that's going to take a lot of work. And my only question or concern is that I'm not here at the last part of March.
I think that
So
date will have to be changed.
if you are going to do this,
April.
then
And I would say, like with any survey, committee survey, it would come to council for review, but not as an on-table. And this isn't on-table, receiving it this afternoon.
I think
yeah.
with the questions, I think that should be kind of a bit of a long date there too, and not asked on day one and looking for approval on day three. I think, to be candid, our committee has a little trouble with surveys from time to time. And I think the infrastructure's image is quite high, and I don't think they want it tarnished with frivolous responses, and we want a good response out of this. So I think, at a time that works for staff, but certainly for council to apply before it goes, so we can support the survey.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Make
I
that
would
adjustment.
ask that on page 3, under committee deliverables, the second sentence be removed. I don't think it's accurate, and I think it's a commentary rather than something that's additive.
What was that, Madam Mayor?
It's the page 3, committee deliverables, sentence 2. Now, I have not had, the reason why I say this is virtually an on-table for me is I would normally review something like this in detail. And the detailed review that I have done previously, I haven't undertaken to do a review of this one. So it was just like a little, really quick thing. But my overarching concern is that when a committee, not talking about this, but talking about committees and roles and responsibilities are serious, back to council. Council should be the first, not the last, to hear about what's going on in a committee. And because the information in any committee, and certainly in the infrastructure committee, is very important. In the infrastructure committee, it's very expensive. So if it's not accurate information and the community gets concerned about it, then it's information that's been done. So the committee is young, it's learning, and we are grateful for that. And really, the piece that's come by council table are the terms of reference. And I want anything that's written on behalf of council, because committee is working on behalf of council. Committees are a creature of council and taken seriously, not from a control perspective, but from ensuring the best outcome for the community as a whole and the most accurate information is disseminated. So the input, just as you can't bypass council input by not having a councillor write the piece. So I want to say that the committee chaired by yourself, Councillor Ando, can't bypass council by, I know that it's not
You had an
attempting.
opportunity to review this. I purposely did not have input in this because the residents want the opportunity to be apolitical and outside of, not outside the council, but try not to have a political spin in the documentation. They want factual information. And so they provided it to you over the last week to try and get you to, and to try to find a consensus, and have incorporated a number of your thoughts and taken things out. And this is where we are today. And so I think the information there is not political, and I believe that it's very factual from at least our current understanding of what's there today. And so, that's why we're here today.
Sure, thank you very much. The sentence that I request be removed is the second sentence of the 1 to 3rd paragraph of the 3rd sheet based on my cursory review. Councillor Ronsley?
I would like to speak to, first of all, we have a brilliant committee, a very, there's no question about their ability, their knowledge, their experience, and I'm grateful not only as a councillor, but as a resident that they've stepped up to do this work. I do believe it's, and I have mentioned this to you all, I do believe that this kind of analysis is premature. This is looking at the infrastructure, but the committee as it's formed, and it is created by council to help council come to conclusions or to take best paths or to support. In that regard, just a moment, in that regard, Councillor Ando, I would love to see something like this following the work of the committee, but not prior to where they've come out with, they've done some really wonderful groundwork by their visit and so forth, but I think in all due respect, I think this is too soon. I would like to see something like this as a result of all the information that they have gleaned and come together as a committee. I don't see the point of doing it now.
Thank you, Councillor Ronsley. Councillor Bain?
Pardon me. I see this in slightly a different light in as much as I have reviewed this online, what was emailed to us. And I view this as part of the longer discussion. It's not the end piece by any means. And I think it's a great starting point for the discussion to inform the public of what's going on, to get everybody involved. Granted, it is the council's final decision on the matter that matters, and we represent all the people that if the infrastructure committee gets their discussion out into the public, we're going to get more feedback from the public to help us make our decisions. So I don't see a negative in this. As to Madam Mayor, your sentence there, I think the letter stands with it or without it.
Yeah, I'd like it to stand with it.
I
see it
don't
as
have
a
an
political
objection one way or
statement.
the other on that, but the rest of it, I'm really happy with this piece. It's a good educational piece, as I say, at the beginning of a discussion.
Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin?
I largely share Councillor Bain's view that this committee has come forward quickly in very detailed work. Many of us are not qualified to do the kind of work that they're doing and or be accredited. So it's hard for me to really to nitpick on this. As Councillor Bain says, the one sentence in or out, it depends on how you phrase it. It's somewhat, expenditures are budget restrictive, so it's not always a matter of choices here.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're kind of making a point but not doing the context behind it. So I think for me the article to recognize the good work that's going to be done, I think the article stands with or without the sentence. I accede to you, Madam Mayor and Councilman.
So if the committee would be willing to remove that, would the council be fine with having it submitted to the community news? Hereby consent.
If I could go to Mr. McFarland.
Madam Mayor, I sat on the sidelines on this one. I've just got some minor items that I'm going to put in here. They made some statements in here that probably do need to be referenced. For example, a large municipal system is considered problematic over 50%. Well, they should state the reference of that.
Yeah,
Or is that, whose opinion is that, or is that actual, so anyways, I can send that to Carl
Okay.
tomorrow. There's just some minor things than that. I think what was stated at the beginning is that this was going to be an education for the community, and I think, you know, to a large extent that this is. There's a little bit of editorializing in this, but I don't think anybody is, and I think that's quite normal. I can just edit a wee bit of that out, but there is a comment in here, is that even with a recent loan, in the comment that the mayor does make, have been kept piecemeal, losing the benefits of scale and sequential execution. Well, that's probably, that's an opinion. It could be true,
Well,
it may not be.
could I clarify for the record, and it's a problem that I need to meet with the committee, obviously. No, you take the 2005, and if you take the time to review the work that staff had done last January and February, you see that as a result of that, Stewart Avenue was done, Panorama was done, Mountain was done, Sunset was done, the UV was done. It's been in a very orderly, non-chaotic fashion. Of course, then there are things that need to be done because they've emerged as issues, and those need to be done. Lower Lions Bay was done. This was all in an orderly fashion. We haven't been shooting in the dark, so I want everybody here to understand, in chambers and beyond, this has been a very well-planned process, including, though, when we had septic failure here, we put in a new field. When we needed the roof things, those things come up. So it's been long-term. The long play is we want to win the football field. The strategic play is what are the things that we do as we get there. And so has it been piecemeal? Has it been poorly thought out? Absolutely not. And that is where I would say that is where the committee is new, hasn't had the opportunity for somebody who's very seasoned hand at this to speak to them and to listen to them and to get there and knit together how this has been done in a very orderly fashion. Prior to that, Bayview Road, Ocean View, Brunswick, I mean, I could go on and on. Councillor Ron.
We're not there yet, Mayor
No.
Broughton. I think I would be comfortable with this if there was a preamble to the article itself, the reason why it's coming out now, the things that are going to be looked at, and with the editing that you're suggesting, taking out the opinions or and adding some of this.
Editorialize.
When I said it's premature, I was not saying it shouldn't be in at all. This is an opinion of 3 people, but why is it being written now? This is what we've learned so far. These are the things that we're looking at. Stay tuned. There's more to come. This isn't the final. So I would certainly, Councillor Ando, be happy with it and comfortable with it if that was that was said and the editing that Mr. McGratto was suggesting needs to be done. I'm not trying to do anything behind closed doors, and I just think that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
And then carry on. I mean, a month later, let's have another article on what we've learned since then, without decision-making, because this, as Councillor McLaughlin is suggesting, I mean, money, there's lots of money being spent here, but we've got a whole village that we're looking after, in addition to these needs, and some of the things we've already taken care of. So I would just like to have more rather than less, and accuracy, and why are we doing it?
And I would add, it's been very orderly and plan-filled, and I don't want to not mention rock scaling, and then rock scaling. And so I think that there are many things, and in addition to, building other things that have more profile, like the Centennial Trail or the highway or something like that. But all this stuff is going behind the scenes. And this is where it would be a great opportunity, Councillor Ando, to sit down with your team and listen to some of the things that they've heard and seen and are aware of, and be able to fill in some of the things that they may not be aware of. But certainly there is a plan, and if you review the information from the 2005 master plan, and then look at the information report from Mr. Zava last year. I think that clarifies that. So my concern here is exactly what Mr. McGradu brought up just moments ago, and that was the concern that there's information in here said, if this was any article, I'd say, but where, well, that's interesting. Where are the facts that back that up? Your own committee member asked the same question, one of your committee members. So, but the editorializing in that just doesn't respect all of the work effort, thousands of hours of work that and planning that have gone into the outcome for Lions Bay, and it helps Lions Bay think that we're not as far ahead as we are. Thank you.
The mayor suggested that you should be sitting down with the committee. I would love the committee to give us an interim report to the council.
Sure.
Bring them
That would
here
be
if they
lovely.
have the time. They're busy people. What's new? Where have you gotten to
Yeah,
now?
wonderful.
And steps along the way rather than just a final report from them.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so to your question, Mr. McGradu will do some little bits and pieces, and
To the committee.
thank you very much for bringing.
tomorrow morning?
I think
Oh,
anytime
I'm-
tomorrow will be fine.
Yeah, anytime tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be fine, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that forward. If we could go to public questions and comments, please. Yes, Ms. Wilkie?
I was going to give one question. I'm sorry.
Just because my name is Becky. I have three very quick questions. I'm requesting confirmation of Councillor McLaughlin's statement that his wife works for Micklejohn. Number two, that she only works for them 2 hours a week. And number three, where did the 2 hours a week start and end? Those are my questions.
I think those are personal.
Could I be
Mine's
guided
answered.
by, if I can just bring the table to order, just because Mr. McGradu has just made a comment that was probably inaudible. And yeah.
I'm not gonna speak for any council member, but I think the statement was, clear that, that on,
I don't know.
wherever it is. I think those are, questions he may or may not choose to answer. Those are, very personal questions. He's now, declared what he needs to declare.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilkie. Mr. Hurst.
Stand at the box, are you happy where I am?
Pardon me?
Do you want me standing at the box? or
No,
you
I
want me
do want you to stand at the box. You know what? It adds to
You
the
do.
formality, yeah, please.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
If you don't mind. It just adds to the formality, and sometimes the formality and decorum is
Okay, just-
helpful to the process.
Okay, I wasn't going to give any comments, but just something with reference to 12B, conflict of interest. I think it was a gentleman there, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, I do apologise, but with reference to the conflict and interest, it's in the interest of the residents that the council pay more attention, so I'm going to emphasise this, that I totally agree with that. And also that I think that this should be with reference to, you saw the passion with Cammy with the filming, and he's only just one, and there's lots more to follow, unfortunately, through illness and doctors, and nobody can appear, but I'm sure at the filming thing there'll be more presence. So I would really like to ask council to really consider this bylaw, because I think it's worked very well. It's been very content and quiet, and now we're opening a storm. And only through one particular household, unfortunately. And it's sad, because I've been approached 5 times for filming, and I've turned it down, because I don't want to really upset my residents. It's not about the money, it's the fact that peace and harmony. And that's all that I can see in the community. The other thing is with reference to the bylaws. One bylaw there I noticed on the animal control. Am I correct in saying that dogs have to be on leash? Okay. Well, there's going to be some high-rate people along the way, because the bylaw should be enforced, because there are dogs just running wild when they go down to the beach. And I know they're excited, and bless them, they're animals, and we love animals. But when the dog gets knocked down for not being on a leash, we're going to have high-rate people.
May I just ask staff to research whether or not, because I'm not familiar with the bylaw, I'll just put this question to staff, whether or not at the Kelvin Grove Beach, whether it has some off-leash privileges. I just think that we need to clarify that based on
That
your.
is once you enter into the park. I
Yeah.
believe.
I don't have a,
Once you enter into the
Yes.
park, yeah.
yeah, there is a, I don't have a dog,
No, me neither.
our loss, but it's my understanding there is a dog beach there, one of the two is for dogs.
Yes.
I'm not complaining about
I
that.
think
I'm
it's the
complaining
way-
when you come down the road and there's a dog just appears from
Yeah.
nowhere and you go, what the hell?
Yeah.
When the dog's killed, we're then going to have a war with the person that we killed the dog. Not through our doing, but it causes animosity. And it just animosity. And I don't want it. And the fact that I have to agree with Councillor Anders with reference to the bylaw of towing, I fully support this. My wife got towed in Vancouver 2 days ago. Hey ho, you park in the wrong place, you pay the penalty. And I agree, that should be enforced because people need to know. She won't do it again.
Okay.
And the revenue generated through bylaws pays for the bylaw officers, etc.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hurst. So to be fair, your time has come to a conclusion, and I see Councillor McLaughlin.
Actually, Mr. Hurst, thank you. It's actually for Ms. Wilkie.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Thank
thank
you.
you
And I
very
do
much.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, good night.
And
And Ms. Wilkie, I guess, I'm somewhat taken back because, you know, this happens a lot in our council where residents ask a question and we answer it, and then they ask the question and we answer it again. In this case, we're actually answering a question and you're asking for it again. So to recap, my wife was employed by Millennia. She works approximately 2 hours a week with Millennia. I don't know exactly, but I'm going to guess she's been working for them since 2010, 2009, something in that range. Since you get the free kick of the cat, are there any more questions you have about your wife?
No, I just heard this and I was floored, actually.
So you thought you'd ask the questions again?
You didn't clarify.
They were stated.
I'm going to just bring us to order, if I may. Thank you. And I'm going to move us along. We've had a long day.
We have another one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right, no.
Ellen Henshaw, Mr.
Um,
Henshaw.
One question is, what are you doing to dispose of the green waste? I mean, last time you burnt the whole lot, which was, I don't know why you did that, you had to do something, but what are you doing about it now? Are they still piling up so we're gonna have to burn it again?
We have chosen to burn it again, yes, and while it's still wet.
I mean, you're trying to keep the place clean, the air clean, and you're going to the extreme that you're burning masses of, biomass. I mean, it just doesn't seem logical to me to do that. I know it's a cheap way out,
I'm
but
gonna, Mr. McGrady, you don't have to have a comment now. I just heard you breathing.
I'm
and
not
I-
gonna debate,
No,
you're
no,
right.
no, you
That's
do
just-
not need to.
He's
yeah.
answered, right.
Thank you very much, and I know that all of us will undertake that, and I know that Mr. McGrady will, and that he's looked at some choices that we have. I don't mean that it won't be a burn this year, but it may be that we look at choices of how to.
it's so hypocritical
Deal with
that if you
our
had
green
a
waste.
fire in your back
I'm sorry,
garden,
yeah,
you would come round and give a ticket out.
we're,
But you guys are burning mass.
yeah. I don't know if I can speak for council, but I think that all of council would agree with that, and I believe Mr. McGrady would too, in reading the report, the reluctance that I saw within the report, but going with Councillor Bain's earlier discussion, is that if we leave it, it presents an enormous fire
Oh, no, I
risk.
Safety,
understand that,
because
but
it
is there
gets
no
hot
other
inside.
means of
Yeah.
disposing of it? Could you not get a machine that would grind it all up and you could make it into mulch and then you could even sell it?
Yeah.
I
So
mean, that would be another
well,
proposal.
those comments will be noted, and we'll need to move
I
along.
have two more quick questions here.
Okay,
One about
and I-
Burnco. Was there
yeah.
anything that's been said about Burnco at your meeting?
Nothing at all. I'm hoping that it's going to grind to an end. I think that one of the things that we need to do is work very closely with our good Squamish Nation, relatively newly elected council. I think that we, I certainly am pleased to represent Lions Bay, but need to get to know.
All right, my final one. Thank you very much for getting those photographs, putting that kiosk thing there. I've been bugging you for a long time for that.
You have to thank Councillor McLaughlin,
Well, I
particularly
appreciate
thank Norma Rogers.
It's not just,
It's
I know, but they should have been there a long time.
Oh.
It just looks a mess.
But they're going.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
a
I
mess.
commented also on the fact that those notice boards are in a real mess as well. I mean, that's something else that I don't know who looks after those, but the scraps of paper all over the place. I mean, it's not good for the image.
No.
I know it's a small thing.
No, this is good, and I know that Mr. McGratty is listening and will undertake to discuss that with our team as well. And I know that there were from time to time, new corkboard needs to be placed up there. I don't know if this is one of those times, but it's a minor things, and then maybe a little sign saying keep our area clean.
Oh, I understand
Yeah.
that, but it makes the image, anybody coming in the village and seeing that, well, you know, why do you care? Who cares?
Yes,
That's-
exactly. And seeing that, Karen. Thank you very much. I'm going to move us in camera. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Ronsday, and a seconder, please. Councillor Bain. And the resolution is that the regular meeting of March 4th, 2014 does close this meeting to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following section of the Community Charter. 19.1, a part of a council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one or more of the following. D, the security of the property of the municipality. G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. If I can call question, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. If I can just, then, motion, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can, is there anything to report out? There being nothing to report out, then we will ask for adjournment. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Ando and Councillor Bain. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Councillor McLaughlin, get on that plane.
in
Sleep
only,
fast.
7 hours. Before I go,